Welcome to this quick tutorial where I'll show you how to create a form in Microsoft Access that looks a lot like what you see in the UI Builder demonstration. Many of our customers have said one of their favorite features is actually something that we deliver as a sample, which is a form that includes a header section and then detail at the bottom. What we've done here is delivered a template form and a template subform, and I'm going to show you how you can set up these forms to look at your own data. Let's start off by assuming you have a table containing orders, customers, and contacts. And of course you want to be able to see all of this information in one place so that you can look at a customer record and see their associated orders and contacts and even edit that information. So the first thing you want to do is start by opening the template form, which you can find in the navigation pane. And you can see here you can type your own title. So we'll just call this a sample title. And then here you've got a set of field labels, and each of these field labels, of course, you can change right here in line. You just click in it and then say whatever you want to have in that field. Now the next part here, and you can see down below, it says drag your fields here and this is safe to delete. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And my next step would be to click on the Form Properties button, which you can find here at the top. And if you don't see this property sheet, just double click it and it will appear. And from the drop down you can select the table you want to be the main source of information. In this case we're going to say it's the customer table. Now once we've done that, we can go up to the top and say add existing fields. And now you'll see all the fields in the customer table, and I'm just going to start dragging them in here, and I'm going to delete the label because that label will be right above the current labels up here. And you'll see this is gray. It'll actually change dynamically with your UI Builder color scheme, so you won't need to change that or the labels. So let's say maybe I wanted to see the customer name, part of the street address, and I'm just going to line these up here, and I can just move a couple just so you see. And then I would move this over and just say address. And of course I can add as many as I want. There's no limitation on the real estate, so that means that you could make this a wider form, but of course then you might require your user to scroll across. Now let's look at our form here. I may need to expand it a little bit, but in UI Builder it'll automatically expand here. But now you can see all of the records. And maybe one of the things I want to do is see details down below. So I'll go back into design mode, select the add existing fields, and I won't spend the time to make these pretty, but nonetheless I might drag all of these down here into the bottom. Now what Microsoft Access will do is, as I'm changing my records, Access is actually going to automatically know that I want to see, as an example, when I go down to Santa Isabel State Park, it's going to change all that information down in the bottom to be relevant to that particular record that I've clicked on, which you can see here on the left hand side. That's the selector indicator. But now let's say I want to see all the associated contacts for that customer. The first thing I'm going to do is open my template subform, and I do recommend that you make copies of these so that they have names. As an example, we'll call this subform contacts, so that you can make multiples of these. So now I've got my contact subform, and I need to go through the same process. I need to decide what data source this is. So in this case it'll be the table contact. And here, just note, it's important to make certain that you drag in what's called a foreign key, which is how Access is going to establish the relationship between the customer and the contact. So in this case, you'll see that it has a convention FK, which means foreign key, and then the identifier of the customer. Now I'm going to drag a couple other things in here about the contact. Not going to make it perfect, but and note here that I don't need to see this customer ID. So in fact you can cover it or double click it and then select format and make it invisible. So now in fact I won't even see this when I open it in design mode. So now I'm going to look here and I see contacts, but of course not all of these are related to the same customer. But this will do for now. This is my subform. I used the subform template for that. Up here in the icon bar, you'll see this little subform subreport icon. I'm going to drag it down here, and when the tab turns black, that means that that's where it's going to drop. Now you're going to get a message that says a form with a subform can't have a continuous form default view. That's not actually true. So go ahead and click OK, and don't worry about that for now. Now, it says use existing form, and that's what we want to do, and we're going to use our subform contact. Click Next. Now this is sometimes hard to read, so what I recommend is you click the Define My Own, and then in the parent form, that's that main form we've been working with, you would select Customer ID. That's actually the way that we're going to associate that parent form's records to the subform. That's the contacts. And here again, remember we hid that Customer ID so that user doesn't need to see it, but that's how it relates these two together. Now I can go ahead and click Finish. Now this is really important. That warning message that came up a moment ago that said it had to change the default view property, we need to change it back. Microsoft Access will allow this. So where it says default view in the form properties, I'm going to override it and say back to continuous form. Now that I've selected that, click OK. Now when I open this, what you'll find is I've got two contacts associated with Best Cleaners, none with AAA Plumbing, and none with several of these others. But when I create a brand new contact record here for Western Supply, that's who I have selected, it will automatically know to associate that with the Western Supply record. So now I'll click United Airlines. Of course, there's nobody there. I go back to Western Supply. I now have that contract record back. Go back to Best Cleaners, and it's relevant just to that cleaning company. So this is a way that you can see all of your information in one place very easily without creating many different forms, main forms. You could do the same thing for orders here. I won't run through that in this demonstration, but you could have used the subform template to create a subform for orders and follow the same steps as you did for contacts. So take the customer identifier from the order record and associate that to the customer identifier for the main form here. And the last step we'll do is within UI Builder, the new universal search feature will let you add the search capability up at the top, and all you need to do is open the Forms Properties sheet and then click Other, and then down in the tag section enter Search for any of these fields you've selected, so that now UI Builder will let you search these fields like customer name or address when you plug it in.